when talking about the legendary Hanzō. Hattori, let's just be clear that I'm not talking about this guy or this guy, and sure as hell not this guy no hands or. Hattori was a samurai in the Sengoku era, a time in Japan that was marked by social chaos, political upheaval, and constant military conflict. Some might be screaming at the screen right now. The hands on her toy was actually a ninja. And yes, he was involved in interactivity, going on to become the leader of an entire ninja clan, but at least in the beginning of his career he was a military commander who was once upon a time a samurai. In fact, his military strategy and fearlessness on the battlefield would earn him the name Ani Hanzō, meaning Hanzō, a demon. He was born in 1542 with the name Masanori, where his father, whose name was Hanzō, heard Orius Onaga would raise him. Yes, Inagawa was known as a minor samurai to the Matsudaira, a clan who would become the great Tokugawa clan and would rule over Japan. The shoguns between the 17th and 19th century. Hunter would begin his training very early, some saying he began taken to the sword as early as the age of 8. Some stories include hands of climbing a mountain as a child, whereby he would be ancient teachers of the sword and mystics too, but much of Hanzō Tori's life is unknown to us, and despite rare Ian's accounts of his supposed attacks, many of them cannot be proven. In fact, one of the only real credible events that we can be sure took place was his escort of the future shogun Tokugawa Ieyasu. You see, back in the 16th century, when Japan was a minefield of politics, wars and savagery, there was a man named Oda Nobunaga who was a daimyo, which was something of a high-ranking lord. Oda Nobunaga worked to unify the other daimyo of feudal Japan and was successful in achieving this. However, you'd be betrayed by one of his own vessels and was quickly subdued, leading him to commit seppuku, a ritual by where samurai slashes open his own stomach to deny the enemy the satisfaction of having the kill. As you can imagine, the death of Oda Nobunaga, who had worked so hard to unify Japan and essentially become its ruler, led to much political commotion. Oda Nobunaga was survived by 2 retainers, one of which was Kawai Ase, a man who would become the first shogun of the Tokugawa shogun of Japan. It was this shogunate that would rule Japan for nearly 300 years, between 1600 and 1868. But Tokugawa Ieyasu would never have risen out of Oda Nobunaga's shadow had not been for Hanzō. A Hattori Hanzō fat oil would come into the service of Tokugawa, but we know little about his work here, or how he came to join the soon-to-be shogun. Tell has it that Hattori served Tokugawa in an attack at night on Kaminogo Castle in 1562 and was successful in retrieving the daughters of Tokugawa who had been captured by a rival clan Hanzō. Hattori would have been just 16 years old at this point, but he had already called the attention of Tokugawa, who praised him for his bravery. It's here that we get the first glimpse of Hanzō supposes ninja life as opposed to his more honorable samurai way of living. It was said that Hanzō would use guerrilla warfare when taking command. Ogre Castle, whereby he would sneak up on enemies, surprised him with attacks from above and merge with the castle guards. For infiltration, so impressed with Hanzō, Tokugawa began to employ more ninjas and would assign Hanzō as their leader after. This hunter has stopped being referred to as a traditional samurai and appears to become something more resembling of a ninja, or at least a leader of ninjas, mainly from the province of Edo, where the Hattori family originated from. Another example of his service to Ieyasu is his undying loyalty. Yes, his oldest son, Nobuyasu, was said to be accused of treason and conspiracy by Oda Nobunaga. Outraged by his son's supposed crime, who ordered the son to commit seppuku. But after a botched attempt, Hanzō was ordered by Tokugawa to finish the job, but Hanzō refused the order, stating that he could not kill a man who shared the same blood as the great Tokugawa Ieyasu himself. So moved by this, it cemented his loyalty in Tokugawa, who went on to say in regards to Hanzō, even a demon has a heart. As I mentioned earlier, Hanzō Hattori's most notable moment in his career would be his escorting of Tokugawa Ieyasu after the death of Oda Nobunaga. Upon the death of Nobunaga, Japan became a free fall, and being one of Nobunaga's retainers, Tokugawa became a massive target. At the time of his master's death, Tokugawa happened to be far away from home and was suspended in a land riddled with enemies seeking to do away with him. Tokugawa had a long journey back home to the province of Makula, but to his fortune he would cross the Eager province, an area where Hanzō had earned himself some ties with the local ninja clans. Possibly as a result is found his heritage here. Hunter was said to engage with enemies along the road, but heinous ninja bodies made quick work of any resistance. Some speak highly of Hattori's moves in battle, perhaps too highly, considering they're attributed with various supernatural abilities including teleportation, psychokinesis, and precognition. It's these lots of conceptions that have spawned the prominence of his character in pop culture. Furthermore, it seems that the mystery around his seemingly heightened abilities can be linked with the secret teachings of the art of ninjutsu, a martial art form that incorporates stealth, espionage, sabotage, camouflage, and general deception. No one can really explain how real Honda's abilities were, or what the full capacity of his abilities could have been. After all, being a ninja was mostly about keeping out the spotlight, so it's natural that most of Honda's life and his abilities is shrouded in shadow and secrecy. Upon arriving safely home at Mikawa, after 5 days of walking and battling, Togrizu would throw his support behind Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who was Oda Nobunaga's uber retainer, a man also bidding to seize control of what Nobunaga had left behind. Together they would prove to be a formidable force and once strong enough to uphold Nobunaga's legacy and restore balance to Japan. But the ninjas under his employee Tokugawa would travel to Edo to assume his responsibilities as shogun in 1590, but suspicious of betrayal and ambush, he had the ninjas who were now fully under Hanzō's stewardship take our barracks near the west gate of Edo Castle, a gate that is now known as Hanzō Gate. Hanzō would enjoy a life of wealth soon after the Tokugawa ordered him with so much money that it was enough to rival Talbert, i.e. Neo's earnings. Tokugawa soured residence in Edo shortly after, and with the right hands on his ninjas to join him as loyal gods who would watch the castle from the shadows. When Hunter Hattori died in 1596, his band of ninjas were said to die with him, in the sense that they disintegrated under less able management, whereby their discipline and training began to slack. Hattori's remains are now kept at Temple Cemetery in what is now Tokyo, surrounded by his favorite weapons, a toy his descendants began to decline here, for it said that his offspring will witness an arrogant, most of them racking up debt and failing to live up to his high standards. One of his sons, also named Masanori, would become captain of the Cost of God by order of Tokugawa Ieyasu himself, but his own god rebelled against him. Because of his attitude, he would be relieved of his duties and later died in battle while desperately trying to redeem his honor. Another Hunter Hattori sons named Hattori Masa Siege would go on to serve to Kagawa and lead a group of ninjas, and while he had more success in his ill-fated brother, he was unable to grasp the teachers of ninjutsu in the same way that his father once did. The most interesting thing from Hunter Hattori's life is that because of the secrecy surrounding his ninja lifestyle, much of what he did, including his so-called powers, will forever remain unknown. For all we know, there may have been a plethora of other abilities at his disposal in addition to the ones I already mentioned. Furthermore, we don't have anything about the tasks in which topic are set for Hanzō when he was in his employ after he became shogun, so there could have been hundreds of epic missions the Hanzō was sent on, including assassination, stealing, espionage, scare mongering, and who knows what else. But what did you guys think of Hunter Hattori's life, or most of the tales about his powers made up by his allies and peers? Perhaps these tales were cultivated by Tokugawa Ieyasu himself to spread fear into his enemies, or maybe they were real and could very well still be real after all. For all we know, the art of ancient ninjutsu could still be practiced somewhere in the mountains of Japan. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe while we're here. Let me know if any other samurai you want me to cover. Our next legend is a pretty easy one to guess, considering I mentioned him in this video, the unifier of Japan himself, Oda Nobunaga. Until the next time, folks.